Have you ever just stopped, looked around at your life, and had this sinking feeling that this isn't quite yours? Today, we're diving into a really powerful story about making one of the most radical decisions a person can make, the decision to finally choose yourself.
I mean, these questions from Jim Rohn, they really hit you, don't they? They're the kind of questions that can just hum in the background of your life for years. And yeah, they're uncomfortable, but they are the spark for a massive, massive shift. Let's dig into what happens when you finally stop and answer them, honestly.
It's this quiet, unsettling feeling. It's not a shout, it's a whisper. The sense that you've been carefully building a life designed for someone else's comfort, always guarding their feelings and kind of shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never really meant for you. That's the moment you know something has to give.
So this is where the journey really begins, right at that crucial point of awakening. We're going to explore how this quiet little realization can actually become the catalyst for one of the most powerful decisions you could ever make.
And this brings us to a huge idea. Self-awareness isn't the finish line, not even close. It's the tool. Think of it like a flashlight you have to carry into every single unexamined room of your life. Without it, you're just stumbling around in the dark, wondering why things never feel quite right.
Okay, so you've got this flashlight of self-awareness. Where do you point it first? Well, in this story, the very first step was to point it directly at relationships through a process called the friendship autopsy.
I mean, the name itself is pretty intense, right? An autopsy. It suggests a deep, no-holds-barred investigation. But here's the thing, it's not about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about seeing the cold, hard truth of your social world and how it's actually affecting you, for better or for worse.
In this process, it isn't some vague idea. It's a concrete four-step examination. First, what do you actually talk about? Second, where do you spend your time together? 3, and this is a big one, how do you feel when you're with them? Energized or totally drained? And fourth, what's the value exchange here? Are you both adding something to each other's lives? Answering these questions on paper is key, because you can't hide from what's right there in black and white.
So after performing this autopsy, some very uncomfortable truths started to surface. This is exactly what happens when you finally decide to hold up a mirror to your own behavior and, more importantly, your own choices.
Wow. Talk about a stark contrast. The story the author told himself was, I'm generous, I'm kind, I'm helpful. But the hard truth staring back from the page was something totally different. It was people-pleasing. It was putting someone else's boredom or comfort above their own time, their own energy, their own goals. It was canceling their own plans to accommodate friends who, let's be honest, wouldn't do the same for them.
And this is the gut punch. This is the core of that first revelation. The problem wasn't really the friends. It was the self. It was this deep imbalance where getting that external validation felt more important than building internal value. And if that first truth was a tough pill to swallow, this one was even harder to face. The autopsy showed that so many conversations, so much time was just spent talking about other people's lives, their drama, their mistakes, their choices. The focus was always outward. This realization is just profound. I mean, think about it. You're spending your most precious resources, your time and your attention, basically being a spectator, an audience member for people who are out there building and growing and living. It's the ultimate distraction from your own potential because you're too busy watching someone else's movie.
Okay, this right here, this is the pivot. This is the turning point. Because after seeing all of this, the easy thing to do is to blame everyone else, to say my friends held me back, but the real work and the real freedom comes from shifting into a place of total ownership.
This is the question that changes the entire game. It is so tempting to point fingers, right? To create these villains in our story. But the real truth is, we are the one common denominator in all of our dynamics. We choose to show up, we choose to stay.
Do any of these sound a little familiar? These are the scripts we run in our heads that keep us from looking inward. See, by explaining away everyone else's success, we give ourselves a convenient excuse for not doing the hard work, or asking that really tough question, what am I doing or not doing that's keeping me right here?
And in the end, it all comes down to this number, not 99%, 100%. And this isn't about beating yourself up, it's about taking back your power. If someone else is responsible for your life, well, then you have to wait for them to change it.
But if you are 100% responsible, you hold all the keys.
Look, this isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. It strips away every single one of your excuses. But that is exactly why it is so liberating. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life, and that's the only place you can truly change your direction.
So we've gone from awareness to responsibility, and now we get to the final, most crucial step, the decision itself. And this is an act that we often really underestimate.
You know, it's funny, the origin of the word decide actually comes from the Latin word decidere, which literally means to cut off. And that's what a real decision is. It's not a wish, it's not a hope, it's not an I'll try. It is a line in the sand. You're cutting off all other possibilities and committing fully to the new path. No plan B.
And this is such a critical distinction to make. Society sometimes paints this idea of self-prioritization as selfish, but it's so much better to see it as an act of integrity. It's about aligning who you truly are with how you actually live. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so, we come full circle. We're right back to those powerful questions from the beginning. But they hit differently now, don't they? The focus shifts from what they are doing to you to what you are doing to yourself by choosing to stay.
Answering those questions with ruthless, complete honesty, that's the trigger. No half-truths, no excuses. That total honesty creates the clarity you need to make a real, cut off the alternatives kind of decision.
And ultimately, it all boils down to this one simple personal question. It is, without a doubt, the most important decision you will ever make. Are you going to be the audience in someone else's life or the director of your own? The choice and all the power that comes with it is yours.